Today we're finally going over another old series of mine. This one goes by the name The Other Life, where we explore two drastically different characters as they switch bodies and live each other's lives. First of all, a trailer came out that was very obviously made with iMovie where none of the medieval theming has anything to do with the series. At some point it says 2 ordinary wishes are granted, and then later in the trailer it says again 2 similar wishes have been granted. Are you running out of ideas to excite your audience with? Also, at some point one of the characters just straight up shoots the other one. That's a thing. Seems a bit like spoiler territory. This series only lasts 4 episodes before being cancelled, so let's dive into the nitty and gritty of each one. This episode opens showing us both of the main characters in their morning routines back to back. Kendall, one of these characters, is woken up by her mom, who's shockingly calm about her daughter sleeping in. What's it gonna take to get some realistic parents in some of these series, specifically the moms? They're always super calm and polite about everything. I'm ready to see some of them get cross with their kids when they sleep in or give an attitude.
My name is Kendall Farron.
Oh no. I'm not a fan of narrating in order to establish your characters to the audience, especially with that corny ass, I'm just your average kid. Like, how does that pique anybody's interest? I'd much rather you show the audience what your characters are like. It's not like narration is all bad. There's a way to nail it without immediately making the viewers roll their eyes and making your series sound like a corny Disney Channel movie. But everything Kendall says here could have been established through showing and not telling. By the way, she mentions being adopted by dogs, so it makes sense why mom still has kibble. What do you mean still? This implies she had it for a very long time, not that she's continuing to buy it to feed her family. Does she have a lifetime supply stashed away somewhere? Little keywords like that can completely warp the context of what you're saying. Also, even though she's a dog, she has a pig daughter. Shouldn't she be responsible and buy some food that would be good for her diet, or is she struggling financially? If that's the case, which Kendall confirms it is literally a sentence later, maybe she shouldn't have adopted another kid who's a mouse just a week ago. I believe in giving foster kids happy homes, but if your financial situation is struggling and unreliable, that's not a happy home. I'm sorry, this is a ramble and a half.
Each day, my friends come to pick me up to walk me to Lilac Middle School, so I have to get up really early.
So they don't pick you up, they just walk you to school. Do they pick you up?
The buses actually cost money.
Bro, that's bullshit. What are you talking about? This school doesn't provide free transportation to literal children who aren't able to drive and have parents who are likely working and might not be able to give them a ride. That's goofy as hell.
I know from the looks of my room that I seem like I'm from a wealthy and rich family.
Not really. You have a shitty little bed, a table with textbooks that are probably given to you by the school, a weird heart thing that serves as your dresser, and a mirror. Also an ugly floor. Pretty standard stuff. You don't have to be living in a tent to be struggling financially. Lots of people have the essentials like this but can still barely get by. Plus, you could have gotten this stuff in the past when you might have been in a better place.
I feel that the only unique thing about me is the fact that I'm adopted.
Really? You couldn't have shown this to us in some way? Like it's already shown to us by the fact that she is a pig and her mom is a dog? You had to narrate for 1 minute and 9 seconds to establish this core part of your character? You didn't need to tell us you're an average middle schooler. You could have shown us. You didn't need to tell us your friends walk you to school. You could have just shown us. You didn't need to say you were poor. You could have just shown us. We turn our attention to the other main character, Sheldon, also getting woken up by his mother, who I actually find pretty amusing. She is outlandish, energetic, and super coddling toward her kid who couldn't give 2 shits about her. It's kind of a funny contrast. Matter of fact, she's so extreme, she acts like she hasn't seen her kid in 5 years once he emerges from his room. She covers him in kisses and affection, which he clearly isn't vibing with, and says, "You've grown up so fast." Since when exactly? Since yesterday when you probably saw him too? You say this like you haven't seen him in ages. Is this a family reunion? Has he been cooped up in his room for the last decade or something? The way she baby talks him, she's actually talking to him like he's a child. It's actually kind of insulting, I won't lie.
You already full-grown man like you said to your own mother. Instead, you living with your family still. You ain't learned nothing.
Why is he gangsta? Wait a minute. Why was I trying to sound black when I voiced his dad? I don't think it was intentional, it was just subconscious, but that is unfortunate. Instead of the characters narrating to explain the plot here, we get a drawn-out rant from his gangsta dad, ripping into Sheldon for being up in his room all day and going out to supposedly earn money, not telling his parents how.
It's like you got no life practically, and you always sneaking out. You got some kind of secret y'all hiding from us. You always going out all the time without even telling us where you going, without even hinting us.
Dude, he's popping off. You actually have no argument. Sheldon's cooked here.
Dad, it's none of your business and none of your concern. I'm just getting money. You don't need to know how or why yet. I'm just getting money.
That sounds low-key like he's indulging in prostitution. Why doesn't he just tell his dad he has a job, even if it's a lie, just to get him off his back? Just say you, work at Wendy's or something.
What do you think we should do, darling?
Let's just go upstairs.
Oh yes, that's right. Go upstairs.
What is happening in this household? We have a basically absent son who's cooped up in his room and doing God knows what to earn money. An overwhelmingly coddling mother who infantilizes him, a gangster dad who sleeps with his wife to solve stress at any given moment, and one normal daughter. I would watch a show all about this family because it is absolutely deranged in the most entertaining way possible.
My name is Sheldon Marks.
Okay, now we get the narration. It sucks again. This guy's whole backstory is such bullshit, and we're gonna go over it step by step. First off, earlier his father established that he's still learning 6th grade material, implying he must have dropped out of school or something early on. But then in this narration, he goes on to say he was finishing senior year a couple years back, so which is it? Apparently his tragic backstory is that a tornado hit his family's home and took everything, and it sank them financially. This is supposed to explain why he hasn't moved out and gone to college. They also keep getting hit with tornadoes because of the area they live in, so it prevents them from having a stable financial situation. That's all well and good, I suppose.
I'm so desperate to earn some money to move out that I would do just about anything to earn it. And that anything is killing people.
What? Wait, how is that the takeaway? I need money to move out and go to college, so instead of getting a job, I murder people. Several people. The math is not mathing, the dots are not connecting here. I don't get why he needed to turn to this in order to make money. Won't he just lose the money he earns killing people to the tornadoes just like he would if he got a regular job? What difference does it make? The interesting thing is, up to this point, we've been able to infer he does something probably illegal and wrong in order to make money, something like drug dealing, which does end up being true. He is both a drug dealer and an assassin. Why do you also need to kill people when you're already selling drugs? You're just looking for an excuse to kill, buddy. If the goal is to make him sympathetic like I clearly wanted him to be, why didn't I just make him sell drugs? That's not nearly as evil as taking people's lives. Speaking of him being sympathetic, I tried so hard to sell a sob story to the audience, and it obviously doesn't work because we've already established there's actually no excuse for this. There is no explanation as to why he couldn't have just gotten a normal job or at least stuck to drug dealing without dragging murder into the equation. He acts all traumatized from killing people from the moment he ended the life of his first victim, yet he keeps doing it anyway, leading to apathy. This is just an everyday thing to him now. Why should I feel bad for him? If he's not just a cold-blooded, heartless killer, he would have immediately stopped after the first killing and probably turned himself in. But instead, he continues onward and expects us to feel sorry for him. Him trying to act traumatized from killing people instead of thinking of the victims and their families is absolutely batshit, by the way. There is no way you can victimize yourself here. To add on to this sob story, he self-harms because he's depressed. Oh no! The apathetic serial murderer is depressed and has mental problems. So does everybody else, asshole. He goes on to say neither his family nor the police suspect anything. How shitty are the police that they're not able to track down these murders after God knows how long?
This is because we're very good at hiding the evidence. Not to brag or anything.
Dude, shut up. Kill yourself.
I once attempted to hang myself.
Oh, he actually tried to kill himself. Great. Did this guy just say he attempted suicide and failed? This assassin who has killed presumably hundreds of people couldn't even kill himself? What a sorry excuse for a murderer. You actually suck. He complains about how his family has to keep wasting money on repairing the house and covering medical costs whenever tornadoes come through. He calls it wasting money. And apparently this is his excuse to continue murdering people because he keeps losing that money.
I feel like a sin. Probably because I am.
Am I supposed to care? This is not a tragedy, this is just pathetic. What is Sheldon's mom doing here? This episode opens with Kendall and her friends, Cassidy and Jackson, walking into school. I just want to say there's this awkward kind of scene where Jackson says he needs to use the restroom and Cassidy's like, okay, that's fine, take as much time as you need, like super overly kind about it, and Jackson thanks her. No one talks like this in real life, you know, no matter what your relationship is, you just tell everybody, hey, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, and then you leave. Just feels like unnatural dialogue is all. Wouldn't be the first time. This leaves Kendall and Cassidy alone to have a long-ass talk about what will probably be the root of Kendall's character arc. Kendall argues about not wanting to be an average kid in the crowd, while Cassidy says she's content just being an ordinary middle schooler. It's basically just telling us more about Kendall's character and making Cassidy very boring while also giving us kind of a nothing scene where they go back and forth for 3 minutes. There's not even a reason to argue here. Cassidy supports Kendall's goals but holds a different purpose for herself, and that's fine. But apparently Kendall just can't wrap her head around and feels the need to keep instigating. Cassidy doesn't even fight back. Kendall's just arguing with the wall at this point. Also, they say the word average too much. Normal, ordinary, standard, par for the course. Get wordy with it, man. All of a sudden, a fight breaks out down the hall, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Cassidy's immediate response to this is, let's go help the victim. Nobody in the history of middle school has ever had that as their first thought when seeing or hearing a fight go down. Have you ever been to middle school? Phones out, people screaming, gathering around, chanting, swearing. It's an unruly zoo, an unholy sight, an absolute catastrophe. Nobody's trying to join in and help the victim and be a good person. There are no morals in middle school. Nobody even knows who the victim is. Hell, usually there's no victim. It's just two assholes talking big and throwing pussy punches that won't have any effect on their lives in the long term. But of course, Cassidy's just so good, guys. She's so nice and has no flaws. Why did she marry Sue, actually? They approach the fight and see two guys ganging up on Jackson, beating him and misgendering him. We learn here a lot about Jackson, specifically the fact that he is trans and faces a lot of transphobia as a result. Want to bet that that's the only trait I gave his character in the year 2017, where I basically just learned the concept of trans people and only saw them for being discriminated against?
She's changed her name since then.
Well, you mean he? Crisis averted. We do not have a Mary Sue on our hands. Cassidy is accidentally transphobic sometimes.
His transformation is already thoroughly complete. Thoroughly.
Okay, I know what I was saying here. I was saying he had the surgeries, but bro, that's not legal. You can't make those decisions until you're 18 years old. They're life-altering changes you're making with your body, and when you're a kid, you're still discovering yourself and haven't fully developed. Do what you must to express yourself and feel comfortable with your identity. Protect trans youth at all costs, but surgery is a commitment. So are tattoos, and so is marriage. That's why these things aren't legal until you're an adult. They're all about commitment. But it's great if Jackson feels more comfortable as a guy and wants to express himself as such. I just don't get why this thorough detail was even necessary, especially because I was clearly oblivious to the law and how much of a bigger step surgery really is. Plus, his transformation is nobody's business, Cassidy. Plus, even if his transformation isn't complete, that doesn't make him any less trans. Not everyone has access to the tools they need to transition, not everyone is in a safe environment to do so, and people express their gender in different ways. My bad, I'm rambling.
Grab this little girl's birth certificate. Oh, wait a minute, she doesn't have it. It's at her parents' house, and she's never allowed to step foot in that house ever again.
What? How do these random dickheads even know this information? You know the sad thing about all this? Like, genuinely, most of the bullies in my series and films were comically evil to a ridiculous degree that doesn't feel realistic. But these may honestly very well be the most realistic bullies in any of my works to this day. I can't tell you the amount of transphobia I've seen mirror this exact false information behavior everywhere. And because of that, I don't have much to say about these boys. They're pretty accurate, unfortunately.
Ever since Jackson came out of the wound...
Stop! Did I just say wound?
Ever since Jackson came out of the wound...
You can't make this up. You just can't. Cassidy then goes on to roast them middle school style by saying something about their lack of brain cells, and everyone in the hallway flips like it's this slam dunk. First off, someone in the crowd said hot dang. Just say damn, you are such a coward, it's not even funny. And I'm pretty sure people say that when they find someone hot, correct me if I'm wrong. Second, that's the cringiest shit ever, nobody would be impressed by that. I guess it's middle school, which is the height of cringe, so maybe the kids would think it's some big roast, but... whatever, man, I don't care. We're moving on. Cassidy proceeds to go on a tangent about how Jackson can be who he wants to be, which then spirals into a general rant about chasing your dreams and making them happen. During this, the camera goes to Kendall, who, by the way, has backed away from this whole fight a while ago and is watching from afar. Some friend. It's obvious as Cassidy goes on that her rant is more relevant to Kendall's situation rather than Jackson, talking about being who you want to be and achieving your dreams and all that mushy crap. She ends up just repeating herself with slightly different phrasing like she's trying to reach a word count for an essay. Also, she keeps saying you can achieve your dreams no matter what, which isn't necessarily true. There are so many factors that can prevent you from doing so. Obviously, she doesn't understand this as a kid, which is actually kinda nice. We have a genuine character flaw for Cassidy here. She's too optimistic to the point she doesn't ever consider the possibilities of reality. She finally threatens to call the cops on the boys, which causes these cowards to leave with their tails between their legs. On their way out, they call her butthurt, which, wow, I actually haven't heard that word since middle school. Accurate dialogue. They also accidentally tip over one of the random students, and I brought attention to it by having the student get up like, ow. I cannot stand this kind of thing. If your LPS accidentally tip each other over while filming, just re-record it, or at least don't bring attention to it. It makes it worse. Cassidy proceeds to comfort Jackson while he just lies motionless on the floor and makes no effort to help him up. Kendall finally just bails on the two of them, running off after feeling moved by Cassidy's little speech. This is, of course, when Cassidy finally turns around and realizes she's gone.
Ha! Even your friend left you.
Dude, are they really still instigating from a distance? They really are cowards. How long have they just been hanging out watching from afar? Meanwhile, we move on to Sheldon's side of things, my favorite character. We see him meet up with some friends because this loser actually has some friends. Bongo and Larry, his buds, are actually murderers as well, and in fact find enjoyment and satisfaction snuffing out other lives. I guess this is supposed to make Sheldon look good in comparison since he feels bad or something, even though he doesn't because he keeps doing it, and also discusses how they're going to kill their next victim very nonchalantly.
Would you like to gas her, or grab a knife, grab a pistol? Pistol to the head would be too much noise. Should we just slaughter her?
Is slaughter even used correctly here? His friends keep encouraging him to do something exciting, something thrilling as they kill this next victim, while he just wants to be as cautious as possible to avoid getting caught. Also, Larry is 100% on something crazy. The three of them approach Sally from Prime of Your Life. The three of them approach this random beagle in broad daylight in the middle of nowhere? I honestly can't tell where we are or what time of day it's supposed to be. The beagle remains very quiet and calm as they stick her in a bag and haul her back to wherever their hideout is. I guess the murder method is suffocation. Oh, never mind, I guess she's alive and they're letting her out now. This is when they put duct tape over her mouth. No, not before, when they were presumably in a public space and were actively kidnapping her where she could scream and cry for help. Only now when they're in private do they seal off any way for her to call for help. She definitely said what the fuck, right? Like there's no debate?
You can go home now, Sheldon. Do whatever y'all need to do.
Is he Southern or British? Southish? We cut to Kendall's room where she arrives home. At the end of the first clip, she's facing toward her bed, then in the next clip, she's suddenly looking at the camera and letting out a terribly delivered scream of frustration. Once again, she repeats her already established problems to the audience as if we wouldn't have gathered it from the narration in the first episode, the talk she had with Cassidy, and Cassidy's little speech affecting her earlier. Thank you for making content for babies who can't fathom anything unless it's shoved down their throats. Also, she keeps emphasizing that her only unique feature is being adopted when that's not even that unique, and if anyone knew, they wouldn't give a damn.
Maybe if I wish hard enough?
How about if you work hard enough? Quit dwelling about your miserable average life and work to not be average. You're only in middle school, of course you're not some unique adventurer who explores the world like you want to be. You're still just a child. Focus on your studies for now. I already know you got a test due at the end of the week that you didn't study for. I'm not even joking. At the beginning of the episode, she and Cassidy briefly mentioned she failed to study for something. How about you stop feeling sorry for yourself and work hard now so it'll pay off later? My bad, I'm being mean.
Where did everything go wrong?
When you started killing people.
Just wish I had an opportunity to change.
Too bad you kill people. You feel nothing as you kill people. You face no consequences and actively work to avoid them. You only care about yourself and your finances so you can succeed and will literally do anything to get it. L, murder or kill yourself. Did I not understand that serial killers are genuinely irredeemable scum? That's a really hard sentence to say. The episode ends with some weird effects and sounds, I guess to show that they're switching lives, but the effects suck and I just chose something random on Video Effects Live instead of figuring out how to actually edit. Moving on. This episode opens with us getting a look at Kendall and Sheldon after they've switched bodies with one another. I'm not gonna lie, the concept of some random middle schooler and a serial killer switching lives is actually pretty crazy and interesting. I'd unironically watch something like this if it was, good. Kendall, in Sheldon's body, starts looking around her new room to find a shocking sight. Loads of cash, weapons, keys, and shovels? Wait, why does Sheldon have those? We never covered anything like that. Where's the drug stash? Sheldon, in Kendall's body, also wakes up and notices the difference in his surroundings.
Ugh, everything here is so girly.
Random misogyny, sure. Let's make the serial murderer even less likable somehow. You heard that disgust in his voice. He was also disgusted when he realized his voice sounded feminine. Kendall wasn't disgusted by her masculine voice, just weirded out because it wasn't usual. The two of them eventually approach their respective mirrors and see their unfamiliar reflection staring back at them, at which they both panic. They come to the conclusion that they're somehow in a whole different life. Each of them takes in their surroundings, leaving their room to see their new homes and families. Kendall meets Sheldon's family and learns more about this mystery pug's life, trying to take it all in.
Me and your mama gonna go upstairs again.
Why is this even a plot point? Why is the parents sleeping together a constant recurring thing that the audience must know about? Is this really relevant, or was it supposed to be some dumb joke because I was 13 and sex funny? Also this, I think it's the latter. Kendall decides she needs some rest because she's overwhelmed and confused, so she goes back to her new room to take a nap. Meanwhile, we see Sheldon rather settling into this new life, awake and getting dressed for the day.
Okay, I can't wear girl clothes.
When the toxic masculinity goes so deep, he can't bear wearing a necklace, but he can end the lives of tens of people while feeling nothing. He eventually heads to the kitchen to eat breakfast with his new family. This segment is actually kind of funny as he is just blunt and accepting of this new life and fully aware of it. He doesn't even try to hide it from other people. The first thing he says when he sits down at the table with his family is, "Wow, you guys actually have a kitchen." Not even trying to act like he's this mystery pig, just knows he's in somebody else's life and openly discusses it. Obviously, his new mom is very weirded out about this, questioning his sanity.
What state are we in right now? Honey, we're in Dallas.
I don't even know if I have a comment. Sheldon learns more and more about this life, being totally transparent about the fact that he is someone else and doesn't know anything about this new world. Kendall's mom reveals that she adopted her a week after she was born, but that doesn't add up because we learned earlier that Kendall was adopted only a few years ago. For the love of God, solidify the basic lore before you start filming. Huge plot hole within the first 2 episodes is wild. Sheldon seems to grasp the fact that not only is he in a different life, but he must have completely switched lives with someone. So why isn't he concerned about what this mystery pig is doing in his body? Maybe because he's in a new life where he can avoid all those responsibilities. All those murders he committed because he's irredeemable scum who does not feel bad about any of the killings, and if he did, he would 100% turn himself in or kill himself. But you don't even know how this swap happened to begin with. What if it somehow reverses and you get stuck back in your old body after this Kendall girl has done God knows what with your life? Shouldn't there be more concern over how this happened? I guess he's just too determined to run away from his past mistakes. Once again, we explore an old plot hole from episode 1. Sheldon is concerned because this Kendall whose life he's experiencing is in 8th grade, but he's still supposedly learning 6th grade material. But that still doesn't make any sense, because he said before that he was finishing senior year when the first tornado struck his home. Where did the 6th grade thing even come from? What's the point of that? Isn't the conflict that he can't afford to move out and go to college? Why would he be working for college if he hasn't learned past middle school? How did all this go under the radar when developing this story? Despite Mom's concern for his well-being and sanity, Sheldon goes to school and eagerly awaits meeting his new friends. After he leaves the house, his sister expresses concern over this, to which Mom suddenly flips a switch and decides, we should just ignore it for now. What are you talking about? Just a minute ago you were demanding your daughter go get some rest and I just forget about it? Wait, that's it? That was the episode. Nothing happened there. Okay. The final episode opens with Sheldon and his new friends in school as he continues to discover more about this life. Weirdly enough, this time around, he puts up a facade where he's genuinely trying to act like Kendall and like he hasn't switched lives, even though he was totally straightforward with Mom.
Normally you're loud and perky, but this morning you're just super quiet.
Lies! Kendall was never loud and perky. You make her sound like a ray of sunshine when she was nothing but a miserable oaf who wanted more out of life and couldn't appreciate what she had in the moment. Plus, Plus, it doesn't make sense that she's quiet this morning. Sheldon was super talkative this morning and enthusiastic to experience this new life. Wouldn't it be the complete opposite of what Cassidy said? I gotta say, I do appreciate what this series does with really emphasizing the little details. Sheldon knows nothing of this life, and it leads to all these small complications, like not knowing his classes or where his locker is. I like that I paid attention to every detail and showed how it affected his adjustment to this life. I feel like most of those things would normally get glossed over. After making it clear he remembers nothing of his day-to-day life, his friends get concerned. He claims to have some kind of memory loss, and he forgot literally almost everything all at once for no reason. That ought to clear their suspicions. Cassidy continues pressing, insisting Kendall go home and stay home until she's better, but Sheldon is persistent. Sheldon wants more than anything to experience his average normal life, the kind of life he dreams of having, rather than being a demented serial killer. And he ends up saying he craves this average life out loud, so I guess he didn't commit to the facade for long. Obviously, this makes his friends more suspicious since Kendall always hated the average life. A little more bullshitting and he manages to get the two off his back, very suddenly too. He lies saying that he suddenly remembers his locker accommodation doesn't need help and Cassidy just goes along with it. Meanwhile, what's going on with Kendall? Well, her nap is disrupted by her phone ringing and she decides to answer it. On the other end is none other than Bongo and Larry plotting their next sinister crime and wondering why Sheldon hasn't shown up to carry it out yet. Kendall insists she has no idea who they are and that they must have the wrong number. What are you talking about, Kendall? You've already established you're in a brand new life, someone else's body, so these must be people who are connected to the person you swap bodies with. Also, at some point, she just starts yelling at the floor like, you are not looking at your phone anymore, Buster. Bongo ends up eventually saying they're ready to kill their next victim, revealing that he's talking about murder, which immediately alerts Kendall, and oh my goodness, what is going on with the lighting? It looks like the Golden Gates are right outside my window. After a bit of arguing back and forth, Kendall eventually hangs up on these weird new friends of hers and goes back to resting. We shift back to Sheldon's side of things, who's fiddling with his locker and failing to get it open. He does a random recap out of nowhere, reminding himself everything he's learned so far about this new life. His friends, his family, the name of the school, and...
I only know basic 6th grade things, and my reading level is definitely at 3rd grade.
So now it's 3rd grade? What went wrong with Sheldon's education? Good lord! He continues randomly monologuing until a turtle comes walking down the hall and sees him. Apparently, this is the hall monitor, and he's here to make sure everyone's where they need to be, which Sheldon is not. He's late to class, being the only person around still trying to open his locker. This hall monitor starts scolding him for not being in class, to which Sheldon replies he forgot his locker combination due to a memory loss-inducing incident. According to the hall monitor, school policy says you must fully recover from an illness or injury before attending school again unless it is not severe. I really doubt that. You really think they'd be this strict and uptight about a kid coming in with the flu? They might be concerned and see if they can send the kid home, but this hall monitor's being so strict and angry about it. Memory loss is severe, so the turtle intends on taking Sheldon straight to the nurse's office to get him home. Sheldon goes on to basically threaten his life, saying if he had his weapons, he could stab him in the neck, and he's done it a ton of times before. Wow, what a sympathetic character who truly feels remorse for his past murders. The hall monitor obviously insists on taking this little scoundrel to the nurse's office and reporting him mentally ill due to the death threat. And that's where it ends. That's the whole series. It feels like nothing happened in the last 2 episodes. It only lasted 4 episodes before I called it quits. Apparently I was planning to bring this back at some point because this old update video from over a year ago mentions it. I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot any plans I had of bringing this series back. As time passed, I was confident that I had canceled it and had no interest in returning to it, but apparently at some point that was not the case. Well, sorry to get anyone's hopes up, I guess. This series will not be making a return anytime soon. But what can you look forward to? Well, as far as review videos go, I plan to go over Abnormal Pain in the near future since the script is pretty much done. There's always a chance a shorter series might come first just because they take less time to make, but you never know. Thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time.